Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
We're back. I think, didn't we have an extra week? I think maybe we did. No, we didn't. Okay, it was just 2 weeks ago. You know, to me, it just seems like moments ago when we get together every time and raise a glass. Got a nice KC Beer Co. Calabier. I did that because I'm going to prompt Joe, because he doesn't get to talk in the first segment, to do his semi-fey German accent, a word we talked about before. Anyway, Joe has promised an extended fact check, which sounds like he thinks that I was a miscreant in the course of the first moments, or at least moments of the previous enterprise. We're here to talk about, well, whatever we talk about. And it could be food, it could be beer, it could be sports, it could be life, it could be cars, it could be just about anything. And we take it where it goes, and we take it where it goes, directed up first by the ever-popular and ever-demanded fact check. That'll start things off. Coming up next, right here on Thirsty Thursdays, Sense and Nonsense.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it used on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company and Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship, in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312.
Right now, it's more important than ever to support local businesses. And 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence is open and ready to take care of you. Make 23rd Street Brewery part of your KU game day experience, whether you watch the game there or grab curbside pickup for your tailgates or watch parties.
But not just game days. 23rd Street Brewery is great any day of the week, and when the weather's nice, you can take advantage of their heaters on the patio. 23rd Street Brewery is open daily from 11:30 to 9 for dine-in, carry-out, curbside pickup, and can even help with your catering needs.
So support local and visit a Lawrence favorite, 23rd Street Brewery.
Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WreckExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit WreckExpert.com and learn more. The bitter cold snap in February was just another intense reminder of how important it is to have a quality heating and cooling company on your side. That's why you need to know about my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Jeff Dillon and his top-quality staff provide honest, affordable, and reliable service all year long. Their number one priority is taking care of the customer and focus on being genuine, always following through and standing behind what they say and do. If you need HVAC or AC repair, it's important you get help from a team of professionals. Dillon's Heating and Cooling's team can walk you through a range of products, the advantages of heating and cooling systems, and ultimately help you find the best HVAC system for you. They're always glad to answer your questions and set up an appointment for an installation consultation. Whether you're looking to upgrade to a newer model of your current system or need one installed in a new home, give my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling a call today at 913-214-0529. That's 913-214-0529, or visit dillonsheatingandcooling.com to answer all of your questions. Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Their slogan is their goal, always treating you like family. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, Danny, we're back. How are you?
Doing all right.
Well, what do you think of that Calabia?
I think it's good. It's somewhat of a little bit light, but it's still got a little snap to it.
Yeah.
So
flavorful. I went to the liquor store, and I'm like, ooh, das Calabia?
There it is.
I must have.
There it is. Life is a cabaret.
Are you ready for an extended fact check here, buddy?
I am. You said if printed, which it's not, it would extend perhaps to 4+ printed pages.
That's right. And I mean, that is 16 level font so that my terrible old eyes can see it.
There you go.
We talked about trains last time.
Yes.
And waiting for a train, and the word we couldn't think of is platform.
Right.
Right? So it's not a dock, which you had suggested. It's a platform. So there you go, right? You talked about getting 50 cents an hour for babysitting, and I wanted to ask you if you had any idea what you would pay today, in today's dollars, for, say, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old per hour.
I know it's a lot. I know it's a shocking amount because I've heard people talk about it, but maybe not so recently. My children were never in a position where if we had them over, because they lived with their mom all the time, well, we weren't going to go get a babysitter for the 1 or 2 nights that they were.
Yeah.
So I never have paid a babysitter as an adult. Let's go $10 an hour.
So the last time we got one, it was $18 an hour.
Oh, that's wow.
It's highway robbery. So
it's easy work.
And my kids are in bed. They're sleep trained. And this is even when they were littler. They would go to bed super easy at like 8 o'clock. And so they're getting over here at 7. And you're eating my food. You're watching my TV. The kids are in bed by 7, 8 o'clock.
And you're making way more than even what they're trying to get for a crappy minimum wage.
To just sit there.
Right.
I mean...
Well, good for them.
Yes, you go on a date night, and you're $100 in.
Right off.
Just on babysitting.
Wow. So is it sort of like if there was one kid, it would be 9?
No, you're not getting anybody out here that's a professional for less than $12, $13 an hour. These are adult babysitters. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Now,
they're
teenage babysitters.
Okay. That sounds different to me. So these are actual professional babysitters.
Well, no, they're just adults.
Okay.
Teenage babysitter, you're $10, $12 an hour.
And will you use a teenage babysitter?
Now we don't even really use a babysitter, but if you're going to be out late, you can't really use it. That would be the thing.
Right.
If we're getting a babysitter, well,
we're going deep.
We're going to take advantage of this.
Right.
And so, we're not coming home until the wee hours of the morning, so you'd have to get an adult.
Right.
So, Anyway.
Well, there was more than one occasion where I don't think the people really cared or anything, but I was a snooze when they came home.
Oh, yeah.
That
wouldn't bother me.
More than one time. We talked about me eating the pie last time. There was something else that popped into my head about babysitting, and I can't think of it right now. But anyway, let's move on because sitting here, me pondering is bad podcasting. Oh, I know what it was.
Perfect.
When I was 8... my babysitter was the next door, a teenage girl from next door, babysat for us the night after she went to see the Beatles on their first tour of America.
Wow.
And she could not speak. She had no voice. She had shrieked, just like you see in the old films, for, an hour. The Beatles used to come out on those tours and play like 25 minutes. That was it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, is this because they're like barnstorming with other bands?
No. I mean, there might be one other, but for these big stadiums tours, a lot of times, it wasn't long. I know that. That's a fact check. But I mean, they'd play 6, 7 songs and then out.
So Is that because they only had 6 or 7 songs?
No, they had more songs than that. I remember, now maybe this is, I know that I don't think they did much touring. I think they got so popular so fast they didn't do much of that, what the Rolling Stones would do or whatever, where there'd be 4, 5, 6 bands, something like that. But I was watching a little thing that you can find on Rolling Stone the other day called The First Time with, and then they'd have some musician on. And this one was with Pete Townsend.
Okay.
And he said the first time they came to America, they did a thing. There was a famous DJ called Murray the K, who was called himself the Fifth Beatle. Anyway, they played in New York at this club or ballroom or whatever, and they do 4 shows a day, like 1, 4, 7, and 10. Can you imagine that?
That's hard work.
Yeah, that's hard work.
Why did he call
and the thing
himself
was,
the Fifth Beatle?
I think it was just he was a big time DJ, and he had a Beatle haircut or something. It was a marketing tool. Maybe they were closer together. Maybe it was more like 1, 3, 5, 7 o'clock. But the gist of the story was he smashed a guitar at every show.
Oh, you're kidding!
And he'd have to put his guitar back together in the interim before the next show. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Maybe stop smashing your guitar.
Well, that was his thing.
Let's think about this.
I've never really understood. And I guess it's show business. It certainly did help to make them famous. But the fact that The Who is such a great band, and he's such a great songwriter and guitarist 100%. And everything, and to kind of resort to smashing your guitar, seemed like a little odd to me.
So I play guitar. I've never smashed a guitar. I constantly want to do it. It's like one of those things because you take such good care of it.
Right.
That it's one of those things that I just have this urge to just smash a guitar. So one of these days, maybe I'll go buy one at a pawn shop or something. And just smash it. Live on the air.
There we go. Might not have the same impact.
Speaking of musicians, I looked up the band Warrant because we talked about the cherry pie.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So Warrant, in case you don't know, was a glam metal band that formed in 1984 in Hollywood. Okay? Guess how many millions of records they sold internationally?
Oh, too many. That's what I'm going to say. No matter what the total is, too many.
10 million.
Oh, well, that's not that many.
Oh, really?
I mean, over a career, it's all right. It's not like they just put out one album and it didn't.
They had 5 albums that did pretty well, and they had a number 1 hit and a number 2.
I guess that is pretty good. I should not be dismissing that amount. But all you have to do is start off by describing yourself as a glam metal band. And that's the end for me.
Well, now I'm going to do a reading from the song Cherry Pie.
Okay.
She's my cherry pie. Cool drink of water, such a sweet surprise. Tastes so good, make a grown man cry. Sweet cherry pie.
Awesome.
Swinging on the front porch, swinging on the lawn, swinging where we want, 'cause there ain't nobody home. Swinging to the left and swinging to the right. If I think about baseball, I'll swing all night.
Wow, that's bad. I mean, it was bad. The first verse was bad, but it was standard issue bad. He took it up a notch.
Oh, it gets worse because this is you talked about it being like Spinal Tap, and it just gets worse. It gets more and more filthy. It's hilarious. You got to go out and read these lyrics. Oh gosh, there's more lyrics I wrote down here. I'm gonna go ahead and skip that. How many ounces are in a half gallon? We talked about that.
I think I'm pretty sure it's 64.
You were correct, sir. And a quart is also 32 ounces, which you were correct about.
That's the thing that made it easier. Because when you're a poor young man, you have definitely drank a quart of beer before.
Oh, got it.
There's no question that you've had a quart of beer.
You said last time that Technicolor kind of started in 1909.
Right.
And I thought you were full of crap, but you were correct. And I kind of looked up, the most interesting thing about Technicolor to me was why it didn't catch on, right? Because I think of color television or color movies, being superior to black and white. I know that you would argue. Ooh. But why would you look at something in black and white when you could look at it in color? Basically, it was, from what I can tell, it was expensive to do, and it took these like special projectors because they had to like run the film twice as fast and through a red and a green lens or whatever.
Right.
And so it was expensive, and people didn't really demand it. The market didn't demand it.
Well, I think the world was so familiar with their world outside of the one they lived in being in black and white. I mean, all the pictures in the newspaper were in black and white. All their magazines were black and white. I don't know if I've told this story before here on this platform, but I've told it on other ones, I think. When I was in college, I think I've said this, I often cut class and went to the library, which is a sentence that probably not that many people have said. I enjoyed going to the library, and one of the things I enjoyed the most, and it was part of what ended up making me an old movie fan, et cetera, was I liked going to the stacks and getting old magazines from the 1930s and 1940s, Life magazine, Look magazine, and that. So I would spend the entire afternoon many times in a world that was all black and white. And then I would walk outside of the Watson Library, and I was literally taken aback that the world was in color.
This is so crazy. Sometimes the things you say that are similar to my life. I used to go to Watson. I'd go to the stacks, and I'd pull old microfilm of old newspapers.
Right, I did that too.
And I would do like famous days, or I would do just the day that it was. Like, oh, this is April 20th, so I'm going to pull April 20th starting in 1905 and go back or whatever. And just read the articles, read the old ads, read the old classifieds, and just spend hours doing that in there.
Yep.
It was so much fun.
It was. It was really, really fascinating.
We are a couple of nerds.
And until also, I was in a world of, a simpler time, et cetera. And I think it's still the same, but I don't know how strict it is or whatever. But on campus at Kansas, the only vehicles that were ever on campus were the buses.
Yeah.
None other were allowed. I think at one place they could cross the street. I think they could cross the road there at one point, but that was about it. But anyway, I don't even know if you could do that during class hours. But this would especially be like, I'd usually come out of there at 4:30, 4:45, and most of the classes were over and everything, and it was super quiet. And so I would still have this feeling that it was like 1938 until the bus went by.
And just the fumes.
It just sort of ruined the mood.
So anyway, we talked about Hawk Harrelson.
Right.
And you had said he died in the last couple of years. He died in January of 2020. So, ding, 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 correct.
And Hawk Harrelson makes 3 consecutive Thirsty Thursdays. Good for him.
He's the new Mark Mangino or whatever. Who was it? Oh, it was Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain, yeah.
Okay, so, oh no. Danny.
What happened?
We've got some technical difficulties here,
got some
buddy.
power issues. It's too early for the...
Oh, I got it back.
Oh, there you go.
See, this is what I get for not printing it off. So I got one more, and then we've got a really fun etymology fact check here. Okay. So the game show we couldn't come up with where you would take the pictures and turn it into a phrase, because we were talking about the bottle cap, is called Catchphrase. That was the name of that.
No clue. No clue. Out of my realm, my sphere of knowledge.
So we used all of these terms and phrases last time because we were talking about these old-timey phrases, so I looked up the origins of so many words. Okay?
Oh, this is going to be... I'm really looking forward to this.
And I am just totally nerd out on this stuff. So, first of all, you said yikes last time when I said we were going to have to drink domestic in the second half.
Right.
And so I looked that up, and yikes, they think derives from fox hunting. There's an old English word, yoiks, dating back to the mid-18th century, and they used to use it to encourage the dogs to chase the foxes. Yoiks! Yoiks! That turns into yikes.
Right.
Right?
That's cool.
Neat?
That is cool.
I'm
going to like every one of these. I'm sure.
So I said I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Right.
Okay. I had surmised that perhaps it came from the plague or something. Not true. It comes from the mid-1700s when it began to replace an earlier phrase that said, I wouldn't handle that with a pair of tongs. So
that seems like a bit of a stretch, as it were.
But I mean, it's better than the old one. In the 1800s, sometimes they would, instead of 10-foot pole, they would say barge pole, because there were these poles that they would push barges along with.
Right.
That were 10 foot long. How about that?
That makes more sense.
That is according to dictionary.com, which is one of my often used sources on this podcast. Driving like a man with a paper asshole. This is...
So I'm really excited that maybe you found something out about this.
I did, and it took a while.
Okay.
So appreciate this one. Okay. The primary version of this dates back to an African-American phrase, okay, that they used to say.
Nice.
And it was a man with a paper asshole. It can also occur as a man with a paper ass, okay? Such a person is defined as a talkative fool. All talk and no action. I guess it...
All hat and no cattle.
Yes, big hat, no cattle. So I guess it's like the hot air coming out of your rear end is like the hot air coming out with, you're full of crap or whatever, and that your lips flapping or the paper flapping as the hot air exits said asshole.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, buddy.
That's very interesting.
It didn't have anything to do with driving.
No, I don't. I think I think the paper asshole, man with a paper asshole, was a regular old phrase, and he just seemed to only use it when we were driving.
Got it.
I have to ask you this:
Uh-huh.
Did you ever? Yeah, you must have. I mean, I think even up to a certain time. Maybe I'm sure they don't. People don't do it now because it's just in this day and age. I can't imagine. Did you ever sit on your father's lap when you were like 7? And drive the car?
100%.
Yes.
I was just talking about this with a coworker today because I let my kids sit in the front seat. I have a bunch of crap in the back of my work truck in the back seat. And they're not supposed to technically be sitting in the front seat yet because you got to be 5'6" and 110 pounds or
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it seems bananas to me. Anyway, I'm not getting on the highway with them in the front seat or something, but we're running to soccer practice or something. I'm cool with it, right? Well, I was saying when I was a kid, I used to stand on the seat next to my dad as he's, because he had a bench seat truck. I'm just standing there while he's driving down the road. One time we hit a deer, and I somehow didn't fly through the windshield. I ended up on the floorboard or something. They tell the story like it's this funny old anecdote. It's like that was the day I almost died.
Well, we used to. Yeah, and this was routine. We used to sit, and sometimes we did it even when we didn't do this, but we had, off and on, had paper routes, okay?
Yep.
And we had a station wagon, and we would put the papers in the back of the station wagon, and we would sit with the back down.
Yep.
And just sit, and you could literally, drag your feet on the ground.
We did the same thing out of a station wagon. We had a paper route.
And, fling the papers.
That's right.
We weren't very good paper boys, I'll say that, but we were okay when we did that. When when it was up to us to ride our bike or whatever, not so good.
Oh my God, I got to tell this story. I know we're going to run out of time here, but I only have one or two more facts. Okay, so I had a paper route for the McPherson paper, and it was an afternoon route, and it was like 50 houses, and I just drive my car around, toss them out. I made some pretty good money doing that. Well, the Hutchinson paper was a morning paper. And so the guy who delivered the Hutch Morning News was like, hey, I'm going on vacation. Will you deliver the Sunday paper for me?
Right.
He's like, it pays like $1,200 or something, or $800. I was like, a fortune, right?
Right.
And I'm like, yes, I'm in, right? Then I completely forgot about it, okay?
Oh, boy.
And my dad was out of town, and I was having a major party at my house. And about 1 a.m. is when the papers show up because you start delivering it like 2 or 3 a.m. All of a sudden, this truck pulls up, starts unloading all these papers in my front yard. And I'm like, oh, my God, I completely forgot that I have to deliver all these papers. So I pulled all the papers in the house, and I made everybody that was at the party roll papers.
Oh, wow.
Until we had the papers all rolled. And then the soberest amongst us drove as I threw the papers out of the car. And we did a terrible job.
Yeah, I did have a Sunday paper route, I think at one point, just a Sunday paper route. And I said route before for the benefit of you rubes out there. It was root. It was root where I grew up. But anyway, I think my memory of the fact that I wasn't that good is that they didn't get their paper that early.
Yeah.
I think that was it. And the Sunday paper was heavy, and
it was. We had to keep coming back to the house to reload because I had a 1991 Pontiac Sunbird convertible, so we'd put the top down,
right,
and throw at them. But the back seat wasn't that big, and we literally the very first delivery hit this bump, and the muffler came off of my car.
Oh,
so all morning long, we're just blasting the neighborhood with, Oh, we were bad. Okay.
So you're delivering the Sunday paper when, you're 17 years old or something.
Oh, yeah. I'm 16 or 17 at this point. Yeah. When I was 17, I got a rural paper route where I got up at 3 in the morning and I drove 3.5 hours worth of rural roads and deliver papers every morning before school. I made a fortune for a high schooler. I made I think it was $1,700 a month or $1,900 a month or something.
That's a fortune, especially that.
Yeah, in 1998.
Yeah, that's probably twice as much now.
Yeah, probably. Okay. So we're almost done here. Here we go. Dead as a doornail. Mm-hmm. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the earliest appearance of the phrase dead as a doornail appears in a 14th century religious poem. Okay? For gentle James judges in his book that faith without works is a feeble thing, dead as a doornail unless deeds follow. Anyway, so I guess the point is they're talking about a nail in reference to Christ being nailed to the cross, and the door part is just for the alliteration for the poet. Yeah, not nearly as good as run through him like a man with a shit horn, with a tin shit horn. Okay, no. This is the last one.
Runs through him.
Sorry. Yes. Well. There's some variant phrases.
Like shit through a tin horn.
Yeah, there's some variant phrases, and this is from about the 1880s. It started with like butter through a tin horn. And then they would change it to mud through a tin horn. And one of the earliest printed versions of this I actually found in the Kansas City Times from 1887. And they were talking about a boat that had gotten stuck and how they were getting it unstuck from the river. And they said they went over that bar like butter through a tin horn.
Well, I can understand that they would have used the phrase, they wouldn't be in print using shit through a tin horn in the 1800s or the 19th century.
Yeah, they said they'd often use mud, and everybody just kind of knew.
Right.
So, and that is pretty cool beans, buddy.
There you go. There's our fact check for today, and who knows what we got cooked up after this. We'll see if we are men with paper assholes right after this time out. But one thing we will know is that we will be sampling another beverage with you right here on Thirsty Thursdays, Sense and Nonsense.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodall from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back. Let's do the reach around across.
What?
The reach across. But I said reach around for comic effect. And that would definitely not qualify as cool beans, which is a fact check we didn't quite get to in the first segment.
You texted that to me.
Because Joe thought I was giving him the fisheye that we were. There's one for the next time. Although that seems pretty self-explanatory to me, but anyway, what's the derivation of cool beans?
Yeah, well, you texted me cool beans the other day, and you told me to look it up.
Yeah, I just did cool beans to be ironic, and then I said, "Hey, this is a great enterprise," because a lot of times I think of something comes out of my mouth, or I see something, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's a fact check there." There you go.
I told you, I wish I could fact check my whole life. But the
I don't.
So cool beans was college slang in the 1970s, and then it was picked up by the awful television show Full House.
Yeah, luckily I'm sure it's awful, but I don't think I ever watched an full episode.
Well, one of the characters used it over and over again. And that is how it got to be ubiquitous in American.
Right.
That's
how it went
how big
viral.
It was. Yes, before viral.
I think
viral.
Full House was still on when the networks were still a dominant
That's
force.
what I'm getting ready to say. Yeah, I mean, I think Full House is late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
It was part of the TGIF, I remember that, which I think was NBC's Friday 2-hour block of half-hour comedies with Urkel, Full House, maybe The Cosby Show? I don't remember.
Sort of an 80s version of the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family back to back.
Was that the deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was on Saturday night, I believe. No, it might have been Friday also. There's another fact check. I mean, there wasn't a human, a male human being in the United States between the age of, 11 and 15 who didn't have a crush on either Marcia or whatever her sister's name was in the show. I forget now.
Well, then I know that you were a Marcia gal then.
I was a Marcia gal. There was no question.
Marcia guy, sorry.
There was no question. I can remember the other sister's name, real name is Eve Plum, but now I can't remember her character's name. But
I got 0% chance of remembering that.
Marcia Bray, this was a time also where these gals were wearing very short mini skirts or mini dresses.
Yeah.
And I mean, super short. And when you're like sort of the modern, here's a topic that popped up into my head right now.
Oh, yeah?
This is either a really, at times, this is a fantastic development in our nation.
Oh, I think I know what you're
And
talking
secondly,
about.
it is not, and sometimes it's not so, and that is the stretch athletic
Yoga
pants.
Yes, I knew that's where you were going.
And yoga pants, whatever. But what people wear, and now they just wear them to wear them. Yeah. And if somebody is in fine form, it's close to pornographic.
Oh, yeah.
Really? I mean,
it's not leaving much to the imagination.
No, it's not. And unfortunately, apparently, everyone has carte blanche to wear said pants.
Yeah, my wife
in which
looks...
case, not so much.
Yeah, my wife looks fantastic in a set of yoga pants. That's all she wears all the time. I think she knows she looks good in them. But yeah, you could be walking down the street, and hey, more power to you, ladies. Like, that's confidence. Like, I'm not showing off my bulges.
Well, the thing is, I think
walking down the street.
I think that I don't even think that really it's a real statement that much of, hey, it's sort of so accepted. I mean, if you'd wear like a piece of fashion that was like that, instead of the fact that it's athletic wear, I think people would go, "Whoa, what are you doing?"
I don't know. I think there's been a development in our society where there's and it's probably in the end good, where everybody's proud of whatever they are, and they're showing it off, whether it's fits into you or me or anybody else's preformed what is beautiful, what isn't. I think gals are showing stuff off. I just know that I don't want to walk down the street in skin tight pants. Like, I don't need anybody knowing what's going on down there.
Right. And I think it would be frowned upon. To be honest, I do. I think it would be, and unless you don't have anything to show.
Yeah, I think that I'd scare some people off.
Wow, listen to you. But anyway, I think, and I guess it's our country, or our nation maybe as a whole, but our country in specific, I think has become, over the last 20 years, a much better place from the standpoint of, for a long time when I was, growing up and then into the, my early adult years, there was kind of like one haircut, or, everybody wore their hair long, or everybody wore their hair short, or everybody had a mullet, or everybody had a mustache. And kind of if you didn't, you were like, what's up with you?
Yeah, why aren't you conforming?
And now you can have long hair, you can have short hair, you can have really long hair, and you can have no hair.
Well, yeah,
and
as a man or a woman. And,
right.
You go back to that goes back to the four networks time, right? And that's got good sides and bad sides, right? It's good that everybody can be themselves, but there's some real dark sides to it in that it's one of the reasons we all can't agree on anything. Because we don't have we're not all sitting around the campfire together anymore.
Right.
Which is what it used to be. There's network news, and that's where you get your news, and what Dan Rather said was fact, and that was a whole deal,
Right.
And not anymore.
No, not anymore at all.
You can't even, I remember in college, I used to start political discussions with people because I always loved to argue. So I'd argue either side, whichever side the other person wasn't. That's the way I'm going, right? Just for the sport of it. And I would always start with laying out shared, agreed upon facts, right? Okay, so we can both agree that A, B, and C is true, right?
Right.
And then we would go from there.
That ship has sailed.
Oh my God, completely. I tried to have a discussion the other day with somebody, and I tried to do that, and we couldn't even
get started.
We couldn't even agree the sky was blue.
Right. It's like sometimes for another thing I do, I literally will just bring up CNN's website, and then I bring up Fox News website. Mm-hmm. It's the same world. It's the same stories. It's the same world events, and it's nothing It's two different universes.
Yeah.
Nothing is the same.
Yeah, and it's just awful. There's so many things that we live in such a huge world where there's so many things going on around the world that could be reported on that just aren't.
Right.
I always say, there's a war going on somewhere that we all don't know about. There's a famine going on somewhere that we all don't know about because we're too busy focusing on the wrong thing on the news.
Right. At least we're disagreeing a lot of times now on fairly important issues. I'll say that.
Yeah, there was a time when we didn't really address anything serious.
On the news would be about, I don't know, at best a fire or something. But I mean, now at least it's issues of racial equality or voting, and I mean we may have these ridiculously way off into each side arguments about said big issues, but at least they're big issues, I guess.
Yeah. We were going to talk about sports. We were talking about it earlier a little bit, and I was like, man, what are we going to talk about? Because nobody wants to hear me talk soccer, even though the Champions League's going on, and I love it.
Right.
Pulisic got a goal. First American player to ever score a goal in the Champions League. Did you know that?
There's quite a few Americans playing Champions League football these days.
And we're talking football, not
to me. When I came over, when we were doing this, the Champions League is going on, and I asked if you watched the Champions League game, which you did, and I can't watch it. I don't even have non HD CBS Sportsnet. Now I could stream it and whatever, but literally when the problem for me for a lot of times for streaming is that when I would be streaming, I'm doing something on the computer that requires my attention.
Yeah, you want it on in the background.
I mean, I would have to have it attached to a television, and, and I'm going to sound like an old man and everything. But also, if I want to watch a game, I don't really want to be working at that. I mean, if it's what I would really want to do is
record
the Champions
it and watch
League.
it later.
Right, the Champions League game is on the afternoon. I want to record it. I want to watch it at night. It's good entertainment. And to me, that's one thing about soccer. It requires your full attention.
Yep. Yeah, you don't look away.
Because
it's guaranteed there'll be a goal.
Right. And, football and baseball are about plays and, and there's more scoring. So it's,
Well, I got Paramount Plus in order to stream the Champions League, so I'm paying for it. They just get me a death by 1,000 cuts. I'm back up to my old cable bill that I was saving money by cutting the
not
cord
surprising.
on. Just absolutely mind-boggling. Anyway, and you can't even rewind. So my daughter walks in from school, and she's telling me about her day while we're watching the game, and she turns to tell me something, and De Bruyne scores on that early cross, and I'm like, oh! Did you see that? And she's like, oh, no. And she turns around, and I go to rewind it. I can't rewind it.
Till it's over? Or ever?
At all. Ever. You can't pause it. You can't rewind it.
Wow.
None of it.
Well, I can't, I do have ESPN Plus, and you can pause that.
And you can watch it from the beginning if you show up late, because that's where I watch Bundesliga. But we said we weren't going to talk about soccer. So I was like, okay, we talk about the Royals. We talk about the
But
Chiefs.
I just want to know, I mean, you're not the biggest baseball fan in the world. You like the Royals. You like going to the ballpark.
Well, I can't. I wouldn't know how they're doing because I don't get the GD games because I have YouTube TV.
Yeah, that's these situations that these franchises get into, particularly baseball. They can't afford to be having situations. I mean, the Dodgers for a decade their games were only available. I forget what the provider was, but they created it on no network or it was Fox. I don't know. I don't remember the details. But for literally 50 to 60% of the LA audience, no Dodgers, and I don't think it's been rectified to this day.
Why don't the Royals send me an email and say, "Hey, for $99.99,
right,
we'll give you this separate streaming channel. You can watch the Royals." I mean. Everybody can figure that out. I'm sorry. If you can't figure that out, turn the radio on and listen to the game.
Maybe that's part of what's driving it is that people, I think, still do listen to baseball some on the radio. I mean, I love baseball on the radio.
But see, I don't have a radio in this house anymore.
Right.
Right? Because I've got this stereo system that is hooked up in every room. I know, wah, poor me. But, like, I've got this way I can listen to music wherever I want, but it has to be playing on my phone.
Right.
Well, I can't. Now I got to buy a subscription to MLB.com in order to stream them.
Oh, and that's MLB.com's a mess, and there's blackout restrictions all over the place. And
so I'm going to have to do something because I'm not going to miss this. This seems like this is a fun team. It's a fun
team. It is. They're winning. They're winning in different ways. I still don't, they had the best record in baseball for a minute, and they don't look like the best team in baseball.
But they're not even hitting yet.
But
so.
But will they?
Yeah. Hey,
so,
listen.
But I think
yes.
it's fun, and I still started this. I still am clinging to. I still think it's the right thing for me to think that the Royals are a 75 to 77 win team, but they played 1/8 of the season now, and they're a whole lot better than that. So I just think it's fun. It's fun for the fans. I think the fans had their the greatness and the excitement taken away too fast.
Yeah.
The Royals didn't have to continue to be great, but for them to return to suckage so quickly, that was too bad. And I think even when you're a super popular team, it's because you create a lot of fans who maybe don't even like the sport that much, but they like their Royals. But even a fan like that who you created with the excitement of it is not going to watch them lose every night.
Yes,
part of the excitement of the Royals was that they won all the time.
Yeah, they lost some residual. Well, and then also I know a lot of female Royals fans that really like to turn the TV on and see Eric Hosmer. There was some really root for. There's right there on the wall. I mean, there was some guys that were fun to watch. There was personality and everything. But the good news is, man,
people even liked Mike Moustakas.
Absolutely, for some reason. Vargy threw a great game out there, didn't he? So the good news is, even if they hit that 75-win pace from here on out, they're going to be competitive to the end.
Exactly.
Now, even if they just got lucky.
But are they a team that is going to in the over? And this is just the patch that they could have had in July, or they could have had it in September. It's looking more and more to me that they are better than I thought, but there seems to be some good fortune in who they're playing, when they're playing, the teams that are good,
winning all their close games.
Yeah, and they had won every single one-run game until the game on Monday night, Tuesday night against the Pirates.
Well, and then so the other thing I suggested we talk about was some old American throw ball. Also known as the NFL, right? But I'm like...
And as we speak this evening, the
Yes.
NFL draft will ensue. Will the Chiefs be part of the first round? Likely not.
I just couldn't think of anything more dull to talk about than the NFL draft. I know people love it, but my God, I hate it so much.
I think it is an incredible American phenomenon that the NFL draft has become literally a year-round topic. And in a different platform I was talking about, people always get this idea that I hate the draft. I don't hate the draft. I kind of enjoy the draft weekend.
Yeah.
The information being disseminated, the trades being made. I like listening to it on the radio. Usually the people who cover these drafts know the thing inside and out. I like learning things from people who know more than me, the very few of them. And so I was
going to let it pass.
So the days of the draft, I'm fine with. It's just when I don't even mind the last couple weeks. Okay, at least but when it's February 18th.
Look, I can get on board with that. And if I'm going to be completely honest, it's not appointment television. I don't set my day aside for it. But if I'm going to sit down, generally on a Saturday afternoon, I don't sit down and watch TV.
Right.
It's not a thing I do. I'm busy. I'm doing things, right? But on draft weekend, I might make the occasion to, okay, I'm going to take a break for half an hour and come in and watch a draft. So in that way, yes, it's entertaining while it's going on. But the constant drumbeat and the arguing over who's going to go where and the mock drafts and the
Well, we couldn't be more of a like mind on that. But for some people, that is just catnip.
I know. But what do you think that is? Why is it so
I think there are some. I think
intriguing to people.
I don't know. Because really, a lot of times in some sports, it's the fact that, they watch these people in college play. But there's so many NFL football fans who don't give a rip about college football. So it's not that. I don't know. I think maybe that there's a lot of people out there who played some football and they play fantasy football.
Yeah.
So they feel like there's a little GM in them.
Yeah, everybody thinks they could be a GM.
And everybody feels like they can be sort of a draft expert. And if their friends don't follow it like they do or something...
Oh, it's easy to sound like an expert.
Right, you can sit there and say, well, I think the Chiefs ought to go that left tackle out of Auburn, but his arm's a little short, All you have to do is say...
I heard he has small hands.
Right. And, so it's... People always think, what's remarkable in sports is how many people don't watch it. And I was struck by, the Masters ratings were down in golf, whatever. But still, the Super Bowl,
yeah,
90-something people watched it, okay? That's a lot of people, 90 million.
Yeah.
What did I say, 1,000?
You said 90.
Oh, 90. Well, I figured people would assume that it was...
Me and 89 other people.
Yeah. 90 million, I think it was 95 million.
Okay.
So 95 million people watched the Super Bowl, which is a little down, but so, okay, even round it to 100 million. That leaves 250 million Americans who did not watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
The biggest sporting event in America by far, and one that is watched by a lot of people that may be the only football game they watched that year.
How are they getting those numbers? Because how are you counting the Super Bowl parties?
Well, I agree they're probably a little low, but still, you're talking about roughly 2/3 of the nation on Super Bowl Sunday is watching, an old movie or something.
What are you doing?
Or they're just not just watching TV.
Oh yeah, I guess there's those weirdos that don't have TVs.
Right. I mean, so. But we think in our little so then you get it down to a bigger subset, and this is getting a little too deep, of people who are really into the draft, and a lot of their friends may like football and watch the Chiefs when they're on, but they can sit around at the bar and sound like freaking Mel Kiper.
I've got a friend that he makes me feel like I'm vastly underknowledged on the teams coming out or the players coming out. I enjoy, for example, listening to sports talk radio about building a baseball team. I find it so interesting. You're signing Latin American players. You're drafting players. You're dealing with
free agents.
There's no free agents. There's no salary cap. Like it's survival of the fittest. It's like building a team. It's really fascinating. I know it always goes back to this, but the European soccer is the greatest sport that there is, and building a team in European soccer is so complicated, and there's so many different ways to do it. And so, are you a selling club? Are you a buying club? Are you
right? How
good is your system where you're bringing players up through? I mean, I'm a Dortmund fan, and they constantly sell all their best players, and so it's very frustrating. But they're developing those players,
right,
and identifying those players, and they always have some of the best young talent in the world, and that's fascinating. The NFL draft, everything's egalitarian.
Right.
Everybody's got the same picks.
And also,
it's just one way that you get players.
And we can probably close with this, which is a wonderful thing for Kansas Cityans, is the fact that it really has become the NFL, a great sport. Even back when Vince Lombardi was alive, his quote was, "It's the greatest team sport ever, except for the quarterback."
Yep.
The quarterback was that important then, and it wasn't even close to as important it is now. You get the quarterback, it's hard to screw up. And the Chiefs have him.
Yeah, and for me, I wonder if maybe it was youth that made me like the draft more back in the day, or if it was that the Chiefs never had the trigger man. And so, who that left guard is they're taking in the fourth round was really important.
And also, you felt like there still was a way to build a football team that could win without the greatest quarterback.
And now that seems to be...
Well, it's impossible. I
mean,
maybe you can have a great quarterback, but not the best quarterback. but you can't just have even a probably above average quarterback.
I agree.
I mean, you can't have. I mean, would we agree, for instance, that like Kirk Cousins is an above average quarterback?
Yeah, and there was a time when I thought he was going to be better than that, but yeah.
But he's above average. Do you think you can win a Super Bowl?
0% chance.
I mean, I don't know if it's 0, because, I mean, just think how very, very close.
Alex Smith got?
No, Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners, how close they were without a couple of, just absolutely iconic miracle events for the Chiefs.
Do you think Alex, who's better quarterback at the end of their careers? Alex Smith, Jimmy Garoppolo?
Well, I'm going to say probably in the end, Alex Smith, because he had a really good run, and I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo, the way things are shaking out, is going to have the chance to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and that's a nice story, too, that he gets to retire after coming back, and probably a good idea that he does retire, Alex Smith. So, anyway, well, we better retire. Ready to clink bottles, buddy? Salute!
Salute!
And see you in 2 weeks.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Dillon's Heating and Cooling, treating you like family with expert and affordable HVAC services.